In a wild NFL season where the top of the AFC in Week 14 has 4 losses already, it has seemed like anyone can beat anyone any given game. There's no 13-1 juggernauts like we're used to seeing at this point of the year, but nothing has been more surprising than all the question marks surrounding the Kansas City Chiefs, who were struggling and dropping uncharacteristic games left and right, and having them flirt with a 500 record and talks of them not even winning their division. And this is after them talking about the possibility of going 20-0 with a completely loaded roster and keeping all of their major players. But after an absolute slaughter of the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday with a score of 48-9, this pushes their win streak to 6 and counting, and it seems like the Chiefs are all the way back. So in this video, we're going to talk about the real reason that the Chiefs were struggling so bad, what they changed, and why they're having so much success recently. So make sure to like this video and make sure to subscribe if you enjoy daily sports content. Turn on post notifications so you never miss another video. There's a ton to talk about, so let's get right into it. The first and most obvious reason that we're not going to spend too much time on is the teams that they lost to right off the bat. They started off by dropping games to the Chargers, Ravens, Bills, and Titans, all teams that are at the top of the AFC. They weren't losing games to garbage teams, but this isn't all that important because this is a Chiefs team that knew their schedule before they said going 20-0, and to be the best, these are the games you need to win to get there, and come playoff time, these are the teams that you're going to have to beat if you want to win it all. So the first real reason we're going to look at is the Chiefs' unwillingness to adapt, because when the Chiefs were at their best, they had this swagger on the field that was unmatched and they were so much fun to watch. They played this backyard style football and celebrated and had multiple highlight plays, but I think this got to a point where going into the season, the swagger became more cocky, confidence, and misplaced. They weren't hunkering down when things got tough. It almost felt like I was watching the games that they just expected to steamroll these teams, and they were upset when they couldn't score fast. And this was because teams took a page out of the Buccaneers Super Bowl game where they just played 2 high safeties the entire game, creating a lighter box and giving them everything underneath. They're saying you're not patient enough to throw checkdowns and run the ball and sustain long drives. They're also saying we know you want to bomb it over our heads with Tyreek, Mecole Hardman, all the other track stars on your team, but we're not going to let you do that and get these lightning quick drives and gain all this momentum. And Mahomes and the Chiefs weren't adjusting at all. They still wanted to have fun and play backyard football and do all the things that they had so much success the past 3 years, but now teams are running nearly 80% of the snaps in too high coverage. And when the defense is approaching things in such a simple, obvious manner, there was a simple and obvious solution, but the Chiefs were unwilling to take it. This is where we find plays like these where Mahomes is throwing the ball, all these interceptions, and you can tell they're growing increasingly frustrated. I'll show you a few of them right now. And even when they would have a long drive and score, it didn't bring the same juice, and they didn't have this huge swing in momentum that they were so used to feeling. This is where a lot of teams in the AFC now scare me, like the Colts, Titans, Patriots, teams that the Chiefs on paper are clearly better than and that they're going to be favorites against, but teams that are willing to run the ball over and over and over and chew the clock, and even if it's just all to take a field goal. And just a few mental mistakes by the Chiefs or getting impatient will cost them the game. And now they won't have these 24-point comebacks like they did years ago because they were able to score in 3 plays. They'll have to sustain a long drive and chip away at the lead if they ever find themselves in a hole. The other thing that was a real concern with the Chiefs, apart from the X's and O's, is I really think the actions of his brother, his wife, and Chief Nation really took a toll on the morale of the team. I'm not going to go fully in depth because there's plenty of long videos explaining exactly what happened, but as the Chiefs were struggling, his brother is making cringy TikToks, pouring water on Ravens fans, and the worst thing in the all-time low was he did a stupid TikTok dance on Sean Taylor's memorial at a game, while his wife is on Twitter telling his fans to shut the hell up and constantly bothering him to be in these videos when you can clearly see he's just trying to study the playbook or eat, and he's just not interested in it at all. Ultimately, multiple players came out against Chiefs Nation, who are known to be some of the craziest and most dedicated fans in the entire NFL, making Arrowhead a nightmare to play at and giving the Chiefs a huge home field advantage. While I think the fans got a little spoiled as well. Jackson Mahomes, his wife, and the fans got so used to constant success and having the Chiefs back up their actions and confidence, well, the antics didn't stop when they should have, and the fans began to turn on their team only after a few losses. And listen, trust me, as a Lions fan, I would give my left kidney to start out a season 3 and 4, so this was a little upsetting to me. And if you want to take the angle that they're professionals, they shouldn't let this distract their play, we have to realize that these are humans and this shit can really add up, and I genuinely believe that this played into the part of their downfall early on when they started to struggle. And it was at the pinnacle after the Sean Taylor incident and their worst loss of the season by far against the Titans in a 27-3 blowout. Okay, so this is me after I'm done recording the video, and I thought it would be very fitting if I just break down a play to kind of show you what I meant around here, because I realized it could be confusing. On this play right here, the Chiefs just got down 17-0. The Titans just kicked a field goal, and now there are 8 minutes left in the second quarter. So now they have over 2.5 quarters to get the lead back, and they do get the ball at halftime. So if they can sustain a long drive right now, get a touchdown, they're going to get the ball back at half, down 17-7. But this is what Mahomes does instead. He gets the play action right now, and Kelsey's going to be his first read. You're going to see him appear right now at the top. He has him boxed out. He can probably make this throw, but it's also 1st and 10. This is their first play after the Titans kicked the field goal. Doesn't like it, which I completely understand. Maybe it feels a little risky, but then this is what's confusing, because he looks downfield right now and he's gonna throw this ball right there. Look where he's throwing it to. The Titans defender is obviously right in front of him. This is how you don't get back into a game. Just throw the ball away, run it, pick up a few yards. Now you're going to get intercepted. The Titans are going to have great field position. More than likely, you're going to be down 20-0 or 24-0, depending on what happens, with absolutely no momentum. So this is just the kind of throws from Mahomes that he made, especially in this game, which was like the all-time low that kind of caused them to not get back into games. Wanting to force the issue when you absolutely don't need to. Just take the few yards. Live to see another play. Don't give them the momentum, and this is why the Chiefs got blown out in this game. This is where all things started to turn around, however. They start their winning streak with a suspect close game against the Giants, but then they go on to beat the Packers without Aaron Rodgers, but then they go on to blow out the Raiders and then beat the Cowboys and Broncos pretty handily. But yesterday's game went all different. It just felt completely different, and I want to tell you why. Because they faced a team that went out and did a pre-game meeting right on the logo in the middle of the field. Now, they didn't need the highlight plays to get motivated anymore. The Chiefs came out with a swagger I was so used to seeing, and they didn't need to get juiced by a crazy play. Their motivation was going to come from beating the living breaks off of a Raiders team that just tried that. And boy, did they ever, because they jumped out to a 35-0 lead. The defense looked amazing. Chris Jones, Melvin Ingram, and Frank Clark were all over Derek Carr. The defense forced 5 total turnovers in the game, and the Chiefs offense was absolutely rolling. And it was an easy day to be a Chiefs punter because he was not used very much at all, but they put together nice drives, took a few shots when the timing was right, which they should have been doing all along. They found motivation by watching the score run up, and this was the first game to me where the offense and defense looked to be a dominant Chiefs team that can go out and dominate the NFL's best competition and be a powerhouse in the AFC again. It was such a beautiful game from every perspective. No receiver had over 80 yards. Mahomes was spreading out the love, took a few deep shots, and these are good and not like the other ones I was talking about because they were either wide open. Well, there was one to Tyreek I didn't love, but the game was pretty much out of reach already, and it worked out. Even if it did get picked off, this wouldn't have been nearly enough momentum for a comeback to ever happen. But overall, I think teams got a really good read on the Chiefs to beat them early in the season, and the Chiefs' unwillingness to adapt and combat defenses led to early struggles, which only got compounded by the off-the-field distractions and drama. But like it said in the Man in the Arena, the Chiefs got some humble pie and found themselves with a 500 record at the bottom of the AFC West, but have since changed their game, and it looks like they have this swagger is properly placed, and they have their confidence, and they find their solace in scoring touchdowns no matter how they score them. The Chiefs looked amazing and seemed to be all the way back, and now they're going to play the Chargers, Steelers, Bengals, and Broncos, all teams like the Raiders that can beat any team in the NFL, but are also very beatable, and you can take advantage if you find them making mistakes. Let me know what you guys think. This is why I really didn't address it. I addressed it earlier. I think the Chiefs started out 3-4, and after the loss to the Titans, I released a video talking about exactly what they needed to do because they kept falling into the same mistakes over and over and over. And even though they were losing to good teams, these are teams that they need to beat because come playoff time, these are the teams they're going to be playing. You need to beat these teams. There's not going to be any garbage teams to beat up on in the playoffs, and that's when it really matters. So I thought they needed to do it, and then right after that, they started making these changes, and I just loved it the other day to see the old Chiefs team back with a bunch of swagger and confidence, dumping the ball off. Travis Kelce and Tyreek just working in the middle of the field. If they're going to go and play too high, we're going to take everything underneath and in the middle of the field where all the holes are. We're going to run the ball. They had a few rushing touchdowns. It was just such a beautiful game, and it really does feel like the Chiefs are all the way back. And going into these next 4 games, I just really see them being the favorites in every single game, even though they're playing some very good teams. I just think they could honestly steamroll the rest of them, or at least win them all. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like this video if you like videos like these. Comment down below what you think the real reason the Chiefs were struggling so bad, and if you think they are all the way back. And make sure to subscribe if you enjoy daily sports content. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you so much for checking out the channel, and as always, I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.